Tonight, inside a Texas courtroom, a woman's future hangs by a thread. But this isn't her first time here. Not even close. Catherine Welch, with a jaw-dropping history of 10 DUIs, stands before Judge Raquel West. The air in the room is thick with tension. Every person in this courtroom knows what's at stake. Catherine's freedom. The judge has heard it all before, and she's not interested in excuses. What she's about to do will send shockwaves through the courtroom and decide Catherine's fate, possibly forever. The proceedings begin. The judge confirms the defendant's identity. State of Texas versus Catherine Welch. Ma'am, are you Catherine Welch? Yes, Catherine replies, her voice barely a whisper. The judge wastes no time laying out the facts. Catherine has already pleaded guilty to driving while intoxicated, a third offense or more, which bumps it up to a second-degree felony. There's no plea deal on the table for punishment. This is all on the judge. The judge mentions she's received the pre-sentence report, a document detailing Catherine's life and crimes. She's also received a last-minute sentencing memorandum from the defense attorney, Mr. G, which arrived at 5:47 p.m. the day before. The lawyer quips that another judge in a different county got one at midnight, trying to lighten the mood. But Judge West is all business. She's read everything. She's seen the jail incident reports. She's ready. Is everyone ready to proceed with sentencing then? Yes. The answer is a somber yes, Judge. Now it's the defense's turn. Catherine's lawyer, Mr. G, rises to speak. He knows he's making a unique ask. He explains that for the past 4 years, Catherine owned as a personal project, wanting to see if a person with her history could truly turn their life around. He says she's exceeded his every expectation. She completed a 90-day inpatient rehab program where she began to confront the deep, underlying trauma that fueled her addiction for years, horrific events from her past that she had suppressed. Her counselors didn't just recommend aftercare, they recommended a specific outpatient program to deal with her trauma. Catherine didn't hesitate. She checked in and stayed for an entire year, doing everything that was asked of her. Her lawyer tells the judge, I told her to go get her own drug patch. I told her to go get her own interlock device. She did all of that. He presents the records to the court, showing she's been clean, sober, and following all the rules. She's been going to a has a counselor, and even befriended the director of a recovery center called the Dream Center to plan her next steps in sobriety. He passionately argues that it's easy to look at Catherine's criminal history, her rap sheet, and believe that's all she is. But he has gotten to know the person behind the record, a human being who has made incredible progress and is fighting every single day to address her problems. He then clarifies a comment Catherine made in her pre-sentence report. When asked if she needed more treatment, she said no. Her lawyer explains that she wasn't being defiant. After 90 days of intense rehab and a year of trauma therapy, she felt that programs for people who are currently using weren't the right fit. But he makes it crystal clear. She will do whatever you want her to do. He adds another crucial detail. Catherine is already on parole for a previous offense. Her parole officer, aware of her recovery efforts, is willing to keep her on parole instead of revoking it, depending on the judge's decision today. This shows that even the system has seen her progress. It's a small sign of hope. The defense rests its case, having painted a picture of a woman who has climbed out of a very deep hole and is desperately trying to stay on solid ground. Now, all eyes turn back to the judge. The prosecutor is about to speak, and what they say next could either support this story of redemption or tear it all down. The prosecutor, Miss Mino, stands to address the court. Her tone is measured but firm. She starts by acknowledging the defense's points about Catherine's rehabilitation efforts, but then she pivots. She reminds the judge of the stark reality. This isn't Catherine's first, second, or even third DUI. It's her 10th. 10 separate times, Catherine Welch got behind the wheel of a car while intoxicated, endangering countless lives on the road. The prosecutor paints a grim picture of the potential consequences. Families that could have been destroyed, the lives that could have been lost. She argues that while Catherine's recent efforts at sobriety are commendable, they don't erase a lifetime of dangerous behavior. The community's safety, she insists, must be the court's primary concern. How can the court be certain that this time is different? What guarantees are there that, when faced with stress or trauma in the future, Catherine won't revert to her old coping mechanisms? The prosecutor methodically lists the prior convictions, each one a failed opportunity for reform, a broken promise to the court and to society. She questions the sincerity of Catherine's change, suggesting it might be a last-ditch effort to avoid a lengthy prison sentence. The risk is simply too high. Probation, in the state's view, has been tried and has failed multiple times. The prosecutor concludes by asking for a significant prison sentence, arguing it's the only way to protect the public and send a clear message that such reckless disregard for human life will not be tolerated. The room is silent. The two sides have been presented: a story of personal redemption versus a history of public endangerment. Now, the full weight of the decision rests on Judge West's shoulders. Judge West looks at Catherine, her expression unreadable. She's listened to both the heartfelt plea for mercy and the stern demand for justice. She begins to speak, her voice cutting through the silence. She acknowledges Catherine's efforts, the rehab, the therapy, the clean drug tests. But then she addresses the 10th DUI. 10. She repeats the number, letting it hang in the air. She talks about the responsibility she has, not just to Catherine, but to every single person who drives on the roads in her county. She looks directly at Catherine and tells her that her actions have created a staggering risk to the community for years. Then, the judge delivers the sentence. She sentences Catherine Welch to life in prison. A collective gasp ripples through the courtroom. Catherine crumbles, her lawyer placing a hand on her back to support her. The judge explains her reasoning. With 10 DUI offenses, Catherine had proven time and time again that she was a danger to society. While her recent sobriety was a positive step, the risk of her reoffending was too great a gamble for the court to take with people's lives. The judge states that the sentence is meant to ensure that Catherine Welch will never again have the opportunity to get behind the wheel, intoxicated, and potentially kill someone. As deputies move to take Catherine into custody, the finality of the moment is overwhelming. A life of addiction and poor choices is. In today's case, we're inside a courtroom where a woman named Catherine Welch is facing her 10th DUI charge. Yes, you read that right. Her 10th. Her lawyer argues that this isn't just another case. It's the story of a woman grappling with deep-seated trauma and addiction. He paints a picture of a wife and mother whose life has been derailed by forces beyond her control. He mentions her family, the emotional and financial strain this has put on her husband, and how she's finally accepting responsibility. The defense is asking the court for something extraordinary: leniency, a chance for probation instead of prison, arguing she's finally on the path to recovery. But as the hearing unfolds, it becomes clear that Catherine isn't just fighting a charge. She's fighting a long and troubled past. The prosecutor stands firm, representing the citizens who share the roads with people like Catherine every day. She acknowledges the defense's points about Catherine's recent efforts, but reminds the court of a crucial fact. Catherine had already been given a break when the state chose not to pursue a habitual offender charge which could have meant 25 years to life. The prosecutor questions whether it's conscionable to ignore her extensive history of prior convictions and failed probations. She points out that multiple trips to the penitentiary haven't changed Catherine's behavior until, perhaps, now. It's a classic courtroom dilemma. Is a lengthy prison sentence the answer? Or is an extended period of probation, where she can continue her recovery, a better option for everyone? The prosecutor admits she doesn't have the answer and leaves the monumental decision in the hands of the judge. Then, Catherine herself addresses the court. Her voice trembles as she speaks, admitting her past was fueled by drugs and alcohol. She takes full responsibility but explains that she was unknowingly self-medicating for undiagnosed mental health issues, including bipolar disorder and PTSD, stemming from childhood trauma. She describes her mind back then as chaotic. It wasn't until this most recent DUI that she was able to enter a 90-day treatment program that she says saved her life. She details her journey through trauma counseling, sober living facilities, and her commitment to AA. She looks at the judge and pleads, "I'm asking you, please do not send me back to prison." She acknowledges her atrocious record but insists that the person who committed those crimes is not the person she is today. She promises to abide by any rules, to do whatever is asked of her, because now she finally feels capable of managing her life. Now, all eyes are on Judge Raquel West. She begins by acknowledging the difficulty of her position, calling it the worst part of her job. But she's quick to remind everyone that her duty isn't just about giving chances. It's about keeping the community safe. She looks directly at Catherine and lays out the cold, hard facts. This is your 10th DUI, she states. Not your 5th, not your 8th. While she expresses understanding for Catherine's trauma and recent progress, she points to the numerous opportunities Catherine has already been given. 3 separate times in state prison. Multiple revoked probations. Chances to get clean while on parole that were squandered. The judge's words are sharp and direct. She recounts Catherine's history. A 10-year sentence in 2009. Another DWI while on parole for that one, leading to a 15-year sentence in 2011. And now, another DWI while on parole for asterisk. That asterisk sentence. The judge's voice is heavy as she says, "The fact is, we're just lucky that you haven't killed someone in our community 9 times over." The judge's decision is unwavering. She declares that she cannot, in good fight, go home and look herself in the mirror if she gives probation to someone on their 10th DWI. The gavel is about to fall, and the hope that filled the courtroom moments earlier has vanished. Judge West finds Catherine Welch guilty. Then comes the sentence. 18 years in the Texas Department of Corrections. The judge explains that while there was a plea agreement to waive the enhancement that could have led to a life sentence, the repeated nature of the offenses leaves her with no other choice. She hands Catherine the paperwork, calmly explaining her rights and the consequences of her conviction. She concludes with a final, somber message. "I understand to some extent addiction, and I understand that you are on a better path. However, there have been plenty of opportunities in the past where you were on a better path. And you got back out, and you got back on our roads again. And so, good luck to you, ma'am. What we've just witnessed is a powerful lesson in accountability." Catherine Welch's story is a sobering reminder that while the justice system can offer compassion and second chances, there is a line that, when crossed repeatedly, transforms the conversation from one of mercy to one of public safety. Her defense argued for one more chance based on her newfound sobriety and recovery, but the judge saw a pattern of behavior that had endangered the public for decades. The 18-year sentence wasn't just for this one act. It was for the cumulative weight of all the chances that had been wasted. It's a stark illustration of how addiction can explain behavior, but it doesn't excuse it, especially when lives are at stake. This case forces us to ask a difficult question. When does a person run out of chances? For Judge West and the community she protects, the answer was clear. This case is a chilling look at the limits of judicial mercy and the paramount importance of protecting the public. The cycle of addiction and crime is devastating, but at some point, the system must draw a hard line. If this raw and unfiltered look into the justice system resonated with you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're dedicated to bringing you the most compelling courtroom stories from across the country, where every verdict tells a story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next case.